Welcome to Awakening You channel. If you appreciate what we do, please support us. Thank you. Hi all, today the angels talk about our capacity to stay in the light rather than empower the darkness trying to get our attention. They'll share thoughts, stories, and tips. We are so much stronger in our love than we know, and while we can't individually stop the big wars, we can stop them in our own lives and thus begin to starve the darkness. Have a blessed and beautiful week, smiley face. And message from the angels. My dear friends, we love you so very much. We're going to tell you a little story, one most of you have heard. We are not sharing from any sort of religious perspective because in the heavens, we are all religions, and we are none. We are pure love, sharing only love, and this, dear ones, is a love story. A long time ago, a young man walked the earth. More purely than any before or after, he embodied God's love. His heart was pure. His words were kind, and his humor gentle. He had a gift for making furniture and making children laugh. He was kind to the women and respectful of the elders. He lived, breathed, preached, and shared God's love daily in the humblest ways. He amassed quite a few followers at a very young age. He performed what those around him called miracles. He fed the poor, helped the homeless, and admonished all around to put their love into action. Despite his great love for humanity, the fact that he was so beloved was perceived as a threat to those in power at the time. You know the rest of the story. At age 33, he was cruelly hung on a cross. He was ridiculed, abused, and taunted. Yet, he did not waver from his love. He forgave his tormentors. He counseled those hanging beside them. He comforted those mourning. Dear ones, he loved. He loved through pain. He loved those who tortured him. He loved those who hated. He loved those who grieved. He loved and only loved. He did not like these behaviors. Of course not. He didn't like that human beings derived pleasure from torturing one another. He didn't like the fact that they took delight in his pain. He didn't like to see the women and children mourning with hearts so heavy they could turn to stone. He felt great sadness for the souls lost in darkness. He felt great compassion for those falling into anger, fear, and grief. He loved. He loved. He loved. By this, we mean he focused beyond the massive darkness that was trying with all its might to possess him and lure him into hatred, and instead put his attention on the light. He focused beyond the hate and felt compassion for the fear that drove it. He focused on the truth of the tiny spark of light that lay so hidden in some hearts it was nearly extinguished. He loved that light so strongly that his tormentors were shaken to their very core. They went home with an emptiness they had never felt and a doubt they had never experienced. They had been robbed of the thrill of temporarily lording death over another. Instead, they felt their abject loneliness and the misery of their disconnected existence, not because he fought them, not because he hated, but because he loved. Instead of allowing the darkness to possess his light, he focused so brightly on the presence of the divine even in those who forgot that their darkness had no power over his spirit. They killed his body, but 3 days later, he brought it back to life, demonstrating once and for all the eternity of the soul. This young man did not come to form religions nor give you rules on how to live. He didn't come to make one ideology right and another wrong. He came to love. He came to demonstrate that love was powerful enough to burn brightly in the face of all darkness. He came to demonstrate the love of the divine in human form so all would know that no matter who you are, what you do, or how far you have strayed from the truth, you are loved. Love is possible in the face of abject darkness. You may never be able to imagine the light in those whose vile behaviors seek to harm and destroy, but you can seek and see that light elsewhere. You can find it in the bees buzzing around the flowers in your yard. You can find that light in the endless changing of the seasons, which reminds you that life always follows death. You can find that light in the eyes of your child, dog, or the clerk in the store who stops to help you find an item. You can find that love in the tenacious little blades of grass that get stepped on all day and pop right back up. You can find it in the thousands of people who have contributed to your cup of coffee. In a world that is rattling now because the lost and disconnected are once again seeking to feel some semblance of power, focus on all the good you can find. Love that light where you can easily see it, and if you must turn your thoughts away from those lost in darkness. They want attention. Deprive them of it unless they appear on your doorstep. Focus on the families supporting, helping, and loving one another. Focus on the billions living in peace. A few lost and disconnected souls want you to believe that they are your God, and of course, they're part of the energy that is one, but they have forgotten. They act and think from a state of disconnection in which their only fuel is the hatred they stir up on this planet. Don't give them that fuel, dear ones. Surround them with light, or if you cannot do that, look away. Look to the good. Empower the vibrations of love, and you begin to starve the darkness. There is justice built into the universe. Those who murder will be greeted upon death by those they thought they could kill. They will see the blissful existence of those they felt they destroyed and know immediately the contrast with their own lonely existence. They won't take with them any of the lands they conquered, any of the money that validated their existence, any acclaim, or fame, or followers that made them feel important. They will appear before the ultimate love, raw, stripped of all they once thought made them powerful, important, or lovable, and they will feel the sad lie within their existence. They will see the bliss of those in heaven and realize they have been living in hell. At that point, they can choose to receive God's love and be changed forever, or they can refuse the light and live in a dark and aching loneliness. Some of those who thought themselves most powerful and wreaked the most havoc on your planet are now sitting in a lonely darkness because they feel unworthy of love. God doesn't punish dear ones. God calls all souls home to love. So when you witness wars and abominations, do your best not to let darkness steal your heart, love, joy, and purity. Focus on the good in this world, for it far outweighs the lost, and even though the big events make your news, the smaller, loving kindnesses occur every day, all around you. See love. Be love. Share love. You can experience heaven here and now, no matter what is happening around you. We are here for you. Sit with us. Receive our love, and we will help to strengthen yours. God bless you. We love you so very much. The Angel's message from Ann. Hi everyone, as you know, I don't watch the news. I'm too busy trying to spread goodness, but when I need to know something in order to pray or for any other reason, it is brought to my attention. The recent bombing in Israel came across my desk in a way I couldn't ignore it. I immediately began praying for clients and their families in the affected areas. Without thought, I wandered out into the yard. Azure skies, little green winter grasses, tiny autumn roses, and the cool 90-degree temperatures felt like heaven. A gentle breeze swayed in the cattails that sprung up in the garden, revealing a few ripened peppers that had grown in their midst. The fragrance of basil, rosemary and sage perfumed the air. I petted one of the eggplants and bent over to admire a little honeybee on the basil. As I told him I loved him and thanked him for pollinating the plants, he stopped sipping nectar, looked me in the eyes, and flew within inches of my face to do a little dance in flight right in front of my third eye before getting back to his bee's nest. It is hard to wrap our minds around the stark contrasts on this earth. Here I am enjoying bees and basil while others are dying in bombed-out buildings and worse. It has always been this way on our planet. We have lived many lives, had many experiences, and hopefully learned from them all. There have always been places of peace and places of abject horror. Why doesn't God destroy the evildoers? I am often asked. The angels often respond that a loving parent would never want to destroy their child, even if the child went in the wrong direction. The parent would remember the innocent baby and would much prefer that the child turn away from darkness and come back to their truth and light. So, too, the divine constantly lovingly calls all souls home, even those totally disconnected and lost in abject darkness. Meanwhile, God guides those in the light towards whatever it is they have asked to experience before birth and are still calling for now vibrationally. It is hard to imagine, but some souls incarnate knowing they will die as children and that their death will touch hearts around the world. Some incarnate in a war zone to find inner peace. Some had creature comforts in past lives but want to find the love that goes beyond this. There are as many reasons to be in a certain space or time as there are souls, so there is never a one-size-fits-all answer. However, if you look at the world and all within it as energy only, there is a vibrational dance going on that is more orderly and harmonious than we can fathom looking at it with our human eyes and minds. So what do we do when we see these horrors? Of course, we pray, but more than that, we dig our heels in deeper and refuse to feed the darkness that fuels such abominations. We look to the light. We empower the good in this world with our appreciation, attention, and support. We refuse to fuel hatred with hate. We refuse to empower the fearmongers by giving in to fear. In the smallest of ways, 1,000 times a day, we ripple a vibration into the human pond, and this, in turn, affects its larger waves. We empower good with a focus on good. We fuel the darkness by allowing it to knock us out of our light. In a heartbeat, with awareness, we can return to the good. For example, this week, a client shared a beautiful story of empowering the light. She was yelled at by a stranger. In the past, she would have engaged in the fight. This time, however, she went up to the woman and simply said, "Lady, in this crazy world, we need peace. We need peace." The first woman stopped, breathed, and said, "You're right." They both left, touched, and stronger for the experience. The woman who chose love shifted her life and the others with a simple, kind statement of truth. You can find or create light in the moment, no matter the darkness. Another young woman I talked to this week was in Israel visiting her family when the bombs went off. In the midst of the shock, destruction, and pain, she used every ounce of her willpower to focus on the love all around. She told me about the amazing people and families who immediately began to assist one another with no regard for the danger. She feels this focus got her through the intense, terrifying, and horrific situation. She embodies everything the angels talk about. She is safe now, and we're holding her dear ones in our prayers. Some things will never feel good. I started thinking about the horrors and quickly began to feel sickened and discouraged. I stopped that quickly and started to pray, may the light of love rise up in all human hearts. May the lost, lonely, sad, fearful, hateful, disconnected souls feel your love stirring within. May they come to know the truth of existence, the truth of love. I felt so much love flowing through me it brought me to tears. Souls lost in darkness can kill others. They can destroy human buildings and lives, but they have no power over the eternal soul. Their darkness does not have the authority to snuff out love in a heart filled with light, no matter how hard it tries. We get to decide. We get to decide to amplify the light or feed the darkness. Let us be the ones who say no to that darkness and choose in whatever way we can to focus on what is good and loving in this world. Here are some ways to pivot back into the light when you witness the darkness that wants your attention. 1. Flow love in any way you can. We can't fight darkness because it feeds off the fight. It feeds on anger, hatred, and chaos. Instead, we can spread the light, share love, live in appreciation, and thereby starve the darkness of its lower vibrational fuel. Fan the flames of love, the angels like to say, don't dump garbage on the fire of darkness to help it burn. Whether I see something unkind or horrific, I immediately use my willpower to think of all that is good and to flow appreciation. We can deprive the darkness of its fear-fest and anger appetizes. Try this with an angry individual if you ever have to face one. Listen to them. Don't respond. Imagine light from heaven streaming in through the top of your head and flowing out through the heart. Ignore their words and energy, and instead focus on this flow of light from heaven through you to them. I've done this. It calms them or drives them away. To turn away without guilt. Survivor's guilt is real whether or not you have survived while someone else died. It occurs in much smaller ways every day, often in the most loving heart. When you see death and devastation and feel guilty for having a good life or for worrying about a minor inconvenience, that is a vibrational form of this guilt. The angels say that you never need to feel guilty about feeling good, having a good life, or having an easier life than many. Each soul on this planet is where they are for reasons known only to them and God. Instead, empower the light. Give thanks. Feel appreciative and blessed. Know your own heart well enough to know your love and pray for those in terrible circumstances. Ask to be of service and listen to your guidance, which might steer you to do something, give something, pray, or simply enjoy your life and empower the vibrations of joy in which darkness cannot live. Br or there is no need to feel guilty if you are feeling blessed. Give thanks and share the beautiful vibrational abundance you are experiencing through being a loving and kind soul. 3. Recalibrate quickly. There is good everywhere. Challenge yourself to look for it. Challenge yourself to find beauty. Challenge yourself to seek out good people doing good things. The darkness wants us to feel hopeless and that the world is going downhill. It wants us to feel it has power over us, but love is the greater power. It wants us to fall into fear and anger to keep it company, but we need not, because God is God, and life is eternal. When fear or anger hits, take a breath. Acknowledge your feelings. There is nothing wrong with feeling them, but as soon as you are able, remind yourself, I deserve to feel good. I deserve to feel God. I know how to find good. I know how to find God. Then, wherever you are, look around you and find something that you choose to love or appreciate. We go on and on about what upsets us. We can also recalibrate, and focus on what delights. We may not be able to stop wars anytime soon on this planet, but we can continue to live and labor in love, thus one soul at a time, elevating ourselves into a vibration that doesn't fuel them. Have a blessed week. Love, Ann.